No matter your opinion on the Saints Row Reboot, this game will go down as the perfect example of exactly what not to do when releasing a game. Not only is it a shameful excuse for a Saints Row game, but also as a modern AAA open world crime game. Or is it? What is it about Saints Row Reboot that everybody hates so bloody much? Is it the story, the characters, the gameplay? All of the above. However, it's been over a year since the Saints Row Reboot came out, and before I begin beating that bloodied and battered red mass that once resembled a horse, I want to find out for myself, is this game really as bad as everybody says it is? And if so, did it have to be? Beginning with the campaign, on paper it sounded like it could have been at the very least decent. An origin story for the Saints? A classic rags to riches story? This has Saints Row 1 and 2 written all over it. In practice, however, it's complete and utter shit. Things just sort of happen. The characters are horrendously obnoxious, motives are unclear, plotlines go nowhere. It's the textbook definition of undercooked, and makes for one of the weakest, most insipid crime stories I've ever played. And by the end, it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Previous Saints Row games had an overarching theme of respect and revenge, while this Reboot has a larger focus on becoming self-made and the power of friendship. And don't get me wrong, I like the be your own boss vibe, but the friendship aspect takes up a lot more focus. This isn't inherently a bad thing, mind you, but the Saints end up feeling more like an after-school club with your mates rather than,
you know, a fucking gang.
Look at the first cutscene where you meet these bellends. This is how you're going to introduce us to the new Saints? By having them sitting around, sipping mimosas, whining about their student loans and eating fucking quiche? Jesus Christ, this is supposed to be the introduction to the characters you'll be spending the rest of the game with. Your best friends, your partners in crime.
Dinner and a show, baby.
Kill yourself.
Yet it tells you absolutely nothing about these people aside from that Eli's an entrepreneur who wears a bow tie, the twat. Nina apparently forges paintings, the twat. And Kev is a DJ who cooks and dreams of a post-capitalist society where money isn't a concept.
Money fight!
The fucking twat.
Kill yourself.
The only mildly interesting thing about them is that Nina and Kev are existing members of the other gangs, Los Panteras and the Idols, and the boss works for the private military Marshall Industries. I guess Eli just sits around listening to TED Talks all day. The fucking twat. Nothing is ever done with the concept of three members of rival factions living with each other, and it sucks because I actually like this idea. It could have made for an interesting dynamic with how these characters interacted, but the conflict never arises. They have the roommate code, which is to never mess with each other's gang, but there's a moment where you do exactly that, and via text Nina seems pretty pissed about it, then immediately forgets about it once Eli decides to catch a bullet.
For f***'s sake, die! We'll make rent. We just gotta be a little more creative.
Last time we got creative, I got stabbed 3 times.
Nah, seriously though, how about instead of them telling us about this, just make this the first mission of the game? When it comes to missions, Saints Row is rather destitute, and this would have made for a great opening, even if it is just GTA 5.
Baba Booey!
There's simply not enough meaningful time spent with these characters. They don't grow, they don't change, they're as one note at the end as they are at the start. I had a smidge of hope for Eli during the mission Good Cop, Bad Cop. For 99% of the game, he's a total dog.
Roger McGillicuddy speaks the music of my soul.
You are a cat, Eli.
But during this mission, he takes the role of the bad cop, and he's totally ruthless.
Stick her in the fire. What? Eli, I want to smell hair burning.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I want to see these characters become downright sadistic criminals. But this is the only time this happens, so it quickly goes back to being this awkward, LARPing, white wine drinking, bow tie wearing, karaoke singing twat. The other character moment that had some modicum of potential is the scene midway through the game where the Panteras destroy Nina's project car. It should have and could have been a lot more powerful than it ended up being, but due to it lacking any and all context beforehand, it falls completely flat. It just so happens that this car belonged to her mother, who just so happens to be dead. However, this is revealed after the fact, and it's like the game is saying, ooh, I bet you feel bad now, don't you? While it folds its arms and sticks its tongue out. No game, I don't. I didn't know her mother, she could have been a massive cunt for all I know. If Nina's mother and the context surrounding her car was brought up beforehand, it would at least give the player some reason to care about this twaddle. What they should have done was keep Nina's mother alive, who is actually a lovely person by the way, and show a few scenes of Nina worrying about her condition. Once the Panteras inevitably kill the car, Nina's mother can't handle it and decides to join the Reddit Heaven meme, pushing Nina to her limit. And then there's Kevin. Jesus, man. Kev has absolutely nothing going for him. All he does is play music and cook. That's it. He gets kidnapped and nearly blown up, but it's practically immediately forgotten about. Or you're finding a goddamn Happy Meal toy for him.
You think they're all here for the Mecha Burger?
Doesn't matter if they are.
Have you noticed this cat?
The fuck is that a
fucking cat?
And finally, there's the boss. Obviously, yours will look a little different to mine.
Fuck off.
I'm conflicted on how I feel about them. Most of the time, they're either a cocky, chilled-out murder machine, or they're just as insufferable as the rest of the crew.
What sort of waffle maker can I get for 35 bucks?
Presumably one that makes fucking waffles.
Occasionally, extremely occasionally, I get a glimpse of the Saints Row 2 boss. And I wish they were written more like that. The boss in Saints Row 2 was so much fun to play as they're more of a villain than a hero. They were a psychotic, selfish, f***ed up person who was extremely loyal to their gang, and when the new boss does stuff like that, I love it. But it all gets ruined when you see him doing stupid shit like playing this bloody kid's animal game. And the less we say about whatever the hell this is, the better. Is this what gangbangers get up to? Is this what the Grove Street Boys were doing? Of course not. They were playing that real gangster shit.
Who winning? Who you think, huh? Me?
Unfortunately, the side characters weren't spared from this awful writing either, with the Nawali getting it the bloody worst. The Nawali is essentially if you ripped a character from Saints Row 2 or 3 and dropped him in this game. He's easily the most interesting character, and I still know nothing about this guy. It's never made clear exactly who he is, what he or his gang are about, or what his motivations are. He's the main target during the opening mission. Why? Is there a reason you're going after him? Is there Rather than giving you any sort of brief on this dude, the game instead opts to give you some hilarious witty banter between Mr. Grease and your supervisor, this bitch Gwen.
Your parents should have treated you better.
Yours should have treated you worse.
Never mind, she's actually based. Look, I fully welcome comedic dialogue between characters. It's what I expect from this franchise. But if you actually want me to give a toss about what's going on in your story, it should be there to supplement it, not replace it. You end up capturing him even if he did nearly snap your neck.
You tried.
However, later on in one of the better missions Sarut has to offer you, you eventually break him out of the Marshall prison as you need his help for a train robbery. For good reason, he's obviously incredibly skeptical of you and your clique, but after a single mission of you all dicking about together, he comes around and becomes one of the gents. What? This man is a notorious gang leader, a cold-blooded killer. He would not be swayed by these prats in the space of an afternoon. You end up robbing the train together, yada yada yada, and then you don't see him again until the last mission of the game when, out of nowhere, he decides to stab you! Now pray tell, why on earth would he do this? Because you got him incarcerated at the start of the game? Of course not. Because he wants to steal your friends and live out your life! What the fuck? Who thought this was a good direction to take this character in? He showed zero signs that he wanted to betray you. Why not just make him a new member of the Saints? Merge each other's gangs? Make him a bloody Johnny Gat stand-in? He was the only character in this game who had any potential, and you do this to him? And that's the best side character in the game. Everyone else is completely forgotten about once you meet them for the first time, or in some cases, don't even get a proper introduction or any real payoff. Which conveniently brings me to the gangs. The original games did an excellent job of making you want to kill these pricks by dedicating a healthy amount of time to them. It showed you how they operated, their motivations, how your actions directly affect them, and how they desperately try and take you out. But it also humanized them and made them stronger antagonists because of it. Alternatively, in Steel Toe Boot, the gangs don't get any of this, making them completely forgettable. Wait, what was I talking about again? Compare Sergio and Mero. They're both built like a brick house, they're both cut about in monster trucks, and they both kill something near and dear to the Saints. Sergio is basically the Poundland version of Mero because you only see this tosser about 3 times, and one of those is when the Nawali plays Surgeon Simulator on his chest. You storm his foundry, kill his lieutenants, blow up his ride, and I'm pretty sure he didn't even notice. Alternatively with Mero, from the second he's introduced, he and the boss are at each other's throats. You burn his face, kill his girlfriend, you steal the shipment, you practically make this guy's life a living hell, and it all pays off in this awesome fight sequence between the two. And you're eventually putting a bullet in his mullet. I don't even remember the Idols leaders, because, like, who the hell are these people? I only wanted to kill them because of how garishly twatty they are, so... mission accomplished? Also, what happened to the Nawali's gang? Surely they'd be out for blood after you got their boss locked up, but you never see them outside of 2 missions. What? You mean to tell me they were scared of this mug? Actually, no, I don't blame them. Even your own gang sucks. All they seem to do is hang around your crib dancing.
Fuck off.
Get the fuck out of here, you bunch of freeloaders. And I mean, look at these people. These mooks aren't gang members, they're complete wannabes. See now, these are gang members. But then we have Atticus Marshall, who's the only leader worth a damn. He has somewhat of a presence throughout the game, and funnily enough, he ends up being one of the best characters because of it. He's initially proud of your work for Marshall, but ends up flipping his shit when you lose the Hummingbird Codex. Whatever the sodded hell that thing's supposed to be.
Do you think I give a shit? if Myra Star lives or dies.
Unfathomably based. It's the only time we get any insight into one of the leaders, and from this one interaction you learn everything you need to know about this character. He taunts you directly when you attack the Marshall building, he's fuming with you when you f with his new tank, and you get some actual payoff when you get the choice to either shoot or fire him.
Atticus Marshall, you are fired.
You haven't heard the last of Atticus Marshall. And he was never heard from again. Aside from this rather beautiful shot, the game ends with a pathetic little shootout with the Nawawi and finishes in one of the most disgusting, putrid, sickening, insulting ways possible, with the 4 bellends finally, after hyping it up the whole game, finally having their karaoke night, singing about Chef's Love Shack or some shit. I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention. This whole sequence just made me want to step out into oncoming traffic. It's supposed to be this big celebration with all the characters we've come to know and love, but like, who even are these people? Who are you? Who the f is that guy? Why is this grown-ass businessman playing with these kids' toys? Has the hive mind infected him too? Furry alert! Furry alert! Get him out of here. Get him the f out of here! You weren't invited, you piece of shit!
This is a PSA. If you come across any furries on the street, please make sure to beat the ever-living out of them. Thank you.
So, is this campaign bad? Well, yeah. It's kinda shit. Not only is it in no way, shape or form a Saints Row game, even looking at it as its own thing, it's complete, total wank. Everything is severely underdeveloped and completely rushed. The main Saints are insufferable. The gangs were... Wait, there were gangs in this game? But you know, I hate that I feel that way. As awful as the majority of this campaign is, there are moments that I genuinely enjoyed. Sure, the first cutscene with the Saints sucks. However, I actually like the following sequence of the crew robbing this loan shark. If I squint hard enough, I can see something here somewhat resembling Saints Row 1. The campaign does have some fun missions, although I only enjoyed like 9 of the 25. Starting a prison riot while Slam Bionics plays was a great time, the train robbery was a cool set piece, and causing mayhem in the city with the Marshall tank was fun too. The ones I liked because they had something unique going for them. Unfortunately, they're too few and far between. The rest of them are either extremely unremarkable or feel like total filler. Drawing heat is just the riding shotgun activity, and Office Decor is without a doubt the most pointless mission in the game. All it does is introduce you to collectibles. A main mission should not take me 2 minutes to complete. If I could propose a few improvements, I'd still have the characters be complete Melvins from the outset, but once they form the Saints, rather than turning it into this Mickey Mouse clubhouse bollocks, have the gang become jaded and cynical. Have them learn the dark side of crime. Perhaps they get so deep into the crime world they end up turning on each other. Similar to these characters? I'd sooner have these bastards betray you than the Nawali. He really should have joined the Saints, which could of course have divided his gang, so the 3 main gangs end up being the Panteros, the Idols, and whatever's left of the Nawali gang, with Marshall being like Altor from Saints Row 2. You have personal ties to them, and the tension is built up throughout the whole campaign decently well, so Atticus Marshall should have been the obvious choice for the main villain. I can confidently say that the campaign is the worst part of this game, which isn't a good sign, but I can thankfully say that everything else is a step up from that schlock. Mostly. In typical Saints Row fashion, the customization is top notch here, and in some cases is at its peak. I was pleasantly surprised by how expansive the character creation suite is. Along with the usual things you can change, hair, body type, skin color, how fat your cock and titties are, you're now able to make your face completely asymmetrical, which is fucking sick. You can change complexion, skin conditions, you can add prosthetics, you can make your character look sweatier than a football player's gooch, you can even change the size of your... Jesus Christ, those are big. The RGB color picker and being able to save custom colors is also a fantastic addition. There are a few things missing, such as changing the mouth bite as well as the lack of any good tattoos, but all in all, it's a great system, and I love that you can save custom bosses and switch between them on the fly. You can even share and download custom bosses from other people, so if for some sadistic reason you wish to play as this greasy git, here you go. I was prepared to say that the character creation suite is about on par with Saints Row 2, until I realised there's no British Cockney voice, so for that unforgivable offence, this is actually the worst character creation suite in the series. Everybody say hello to Greasy Gobbo.
Fuck the Panteros, fuck the Idols, fuck Marshall. The Saints are here to stay, baby.
Weapon customization returns from Saints Row 4, with weapon colors, patterns, and materials being fully customizable. The visual mods are where things get a bit iffy for me though. They change how your weapon looks and performs, but I don't know, I'd have much rather these just be their own individual weapons. Instead, if I want to use something like the Saints Keyblade, I have to check all these different melee weapons to find the one which has the right mod. And sometimes it makes no sense whatsoever. Tell me, what do you think this sword would fall under? The sword? The machete? The axe? No. It was obviously for the pickaxe. What are you, an idiot? And other times you'll unlock a visual mod, which is just an already existing weapon. Why would I use a visual mod to make the default pistol a revolver when I could just buy the revolver? I don't know. I just think this is a weird way of adding new weapons. But hey, at least they look nice. Well, most of the time. Vehicle customization is miles better than previous games too. There's a myriad of options for body mods, colours, and even engine sounds. Even the shitty cars that you wouldn't really drive have an abundance of customization options. Make the supercar of your dreams. Kit out a sporty hot hatch for your nan. Mater.
Tow truck.
The cars as a whole look fantastic too. I do wish there were a few more silly vehicles to find out in the open world, like the Freckle Bitch's Burgermobile or the Gathead truck, although some of the unique ones you can unlock are pretty sick. Nitro's back and better than ever. You can turn any car into a beach buggy, as with off-road tyres, driving out in the desert is about as enjoyable as slamming your bollocks in a car door, and you can equip a towing cable. Mater. Don't use this. Not only is towing pointless, it takes over your ability to shoot while driving. Why? Customizing your ride is one thing, driving it is also one thing. I wasn't too stuck on the driving when I first hit the streets, but like the burning sensation I get when I pee, I got used to it pretty fast. It definitely expects you to use the handbrake 90% of the time, however the map is designed around this and it synergizes incredibly well with its driving style, so I don't mind it all that much, and it's especially great while using Nitro. Instead of activating it and your car immediately detonating after hitting a pebble, you can control how much you use and when you use it. Once you get the hang of it, it feels great when you're ripping through the streets and drifting around wide corners, and I love that the majority of the objects in the open world are breakable too. Keeps the driving flowing, until you hit a curb and get launched out of the fucking windshield. I fucking hate this feature, alright? It was funny the first couple times it happened, but when it happens over 100 times over the course of the game, yes, I counted, it starts to get a tad grating, and it's so inconsistent on when it happens. That pisses me off for sure, but there is no quicker way to ruin my joyride than flipping the car on its roof. I wouldn't mind so much, but you've got all these complex mid-air controls. Why on earth isn't there a way to flip it back over? Come on, GTA 5 had this figured out over 10 years ago. Unfortunately, the radio stations are super weak. There's nothing I immediately recognise aside from that one Slayer track, but hey, if you like them, good for you. It really could have done with a station like The Mix and filled it with 90s and noughties classics. Annoyingly, if I did have the radio on, it drowned out every other sound, so while it's super cool that you can change your engine sound, it's a bit pointless when I can't hear the bloody thing. It also makes crashing feel super weak. For the most part though, driving is fun. I hope you enjoy it though, because it's what you'll be doing for 60% of the time. But driving can only be as fun as the train you're driving on, so I think it's time I actually talk about the new city, Santo Ileso. Heavily inspired by Las Vegas, Santo Ileso is a fantastic looking city to explore. Any time of day, any type of weather, it is beautiful. And the addition of the wingsuit is a great way of taking in the sights. Each district is mostly distinct from one another and it's oozing with detail and character. I love all the outdoor shops and markets dotted around the place, abandoned settlements out in the boonies, all the unique architecture, the ton of statues, murals, and various works of art. If there's one thing I will happily praise the shit out of, is the game's environments. It's all so good. I didn't spend too much time out in the desert unless I absolutely needed to, but there's still some really cool shit to find out there. I do kind of wish the fast travel was better. You have these specific locations dotted around the map, but they're in pretty inconvenient locations. Just let me call up a taxi, man. There's bloody taxis in the game. Just let me call a taxi. Santo Ileso is a massive step up from Saints Row 3 and 4 Steelport. Steelport had its highlights for sure, although it was often incredibly desolate, repetitive, and blocky with a lot of dead zones in the map. But Troy,
Hey,
is it any better than Stillwater?
not a chance.
Not a chance. That was Peter. Not a chance, Lois. That wasn't even Peter. Once you start comparing these two cities, you begin to realise just how dead Santo Ileso can be. Stillwater is filled to the brim with these amazing and interactive unique NPCs and enterable buildings. There were diversions where you could be a taxi driver or a paramedic. You could gamble away all your money at the casino or discover a hidden underground mall. Peds would break out into fights. They'd streak stark bollock naked in the streets. They'd fall out of the fucking sky. There's a massively diverse mix of culture and lifestyles in the distinct districts, and no two places on the map feel the same. And that's just scratching the surface. Stillwater is a city that is designed to be fully and thoroughly explored, with all this culminating to make this whole city feel alive. That's not to say Santo Ileso has nothing going for it, quite the opposite, but it's lacking a lot of the charm that Stillwater had, which made it such an enthralling sandbox to play around and cause chaos in. You mean to tell me you made a whole city based off Las Vegas, filled it with casinos, museums, bars, clubs, restaurants, and I can't enter any of these places? What a sham. That's it, I'm going back to Stillwater.
I am the absolute
governor.
Granted, this is also a problem I have with a lot of other open world cities, these massive detailed maps that look fantastic, but end up feeling more like model villages once you dig deeper. Saints Row 2 set the bar so high for the series, however, so it's hard to ignore. The interaction you have with the city as a whole just pales in comparison to Stillwater. You can't mug anyone, you can't grab or throw people. Environmental weapons are long gone. Initially, I thought it was pretty neat that you could stumble upon other criminals or armored trucks and knock them off.
Jackpot.
And was hoping there'd be more small events like this out in the world, but these are the only things that happen, and most of the time it's pointless to do because of how little reward there is. And I mean, come on, only 2 cribs in the whole game? 2? And you lose the first one after unlocking the church. Even so, the church is a fucking cool crib, and I love watching it develop over the course of the game, going from this rundown shithole to a genuinely pretty sweet pad by the end. I'm glad crib customization has returned too via the collectibles you can find out in the city. Just take a picture and bam, stick a giant boot in your base. However, Santo Ileso does pass my crucial open world test. Ever since I played Hit and Run back in 04, I've always had this weird urge to hop onto a car and just let it drive around to see where it takes me, and yeah, this game succeeds. I was hopeful that I'd see someone murdering a load of people when I came across this corpse on the golf course.
Fuck off.
That's another thing, it is incredibly unsatisfying to kill these people. Like it or not, but a big part in these open world crime games is mowing down the innocent in your wake. Like, look at this shit, this is just... wow. One of my favourite things to do in Saints Row 2 was driving on the path, because I mean, look at that, that's funny! It's as if everyone in Santo Ileso has an acrobatic attack the moment they sense a car is within a 3-mile radius. I should have broken every bone in this miserable motherfucker's pathetic little body, but I guess his spider sense tingled and he leaped out of the way. What the hell? Shooting these people also sucks. It's just not satisfying in the slightest. That's more of a problem with the combat system as a whole, though.
We can't let that thief get away.
Yeah, the combat is, remarkably average. As far as melee goes, it feels dreadful. For me, the best melee system in the series was in Saints Row 1. Nothing beats clocking some poor sod in the jaw. Sure, it's not flashy, but it's fluid and feels the most satisfying.
I'll show you a thing or two.
Whereas here, it's so incredibly stiff and artificial. Gobbo here zips across the screen like bloody Batman, but your victim has little to no reaction to your punches. Your attacks feel completely weightless, and once you do kill them, more times than not, they'll fly across the map like the Smash Bros. Sandbag. As for gunplay, in its current state, it is... serviceable. It gets the job done, though it's super easy to get burnt out on. Encounters always play out the same way no matter how you approach them, and there aren't any mega crazy weapons you can unlock unlike in Saints Row 3 or 4 to spice up the combat. It's the video game equivalent of junk food. Feels pretty good in the moment, but there's no real substance to it, and I feel fat and disgusting once I've thought about what I've just consumed for more than 2 seconds. I suppose you can spice it up a bit by using the new skill system, but I don't know, while a lot of them sound cool, they're rather cumbersome to use. Why would I use this admittedly cool looking flame punch when a shot to the head would do just fine? And it's weird that grenades are now a skill that you unlock, but trust me, Gobbo here has no skill when throwing these suckers. He can't throw for shit. If you do manage to hit the target though, these things are OP as fuck. And it's a bit broken, you can infinitely regenerate them with how powerful they are. In fact, a lot of the weapons I ended up using felt incredibly broken. The revolver and the tech SMG were exceptionally potent, but the sniper is just too beastly. It's what I used when I just wanted someone deleted from the game. While I did have some particularly satisfying shootouts at times, combat can honestly get pretty mindless. Sure, you can fully customize your combat experience in the difficulty settings, but I wanted to play what was given to me. Because of how completely effortless the combat was, I found myself rarely needing to heal. If I did though, I preferred to use the transfusion skill rather than using takedowns, because I fucking hate takedowns. While they've got fantastic animation, and yeah, there are some funny ones, they bring combat to a screeching halt. This is supposed to be a fast and fluid combat system, right guys? Why are you forcing me and all the enemies around me to watch this WWE shit when you could have reused the Saints Row 4 healing system? Have enemies drop a smidge of health upon death, or hey, bring back consumables. Kev's a chef, right?
Kill yourself.
Get him to cook up some superfoods. They could even have perks attached to them. It'd give him something to bloody do. The combat sections during the campaign were fine. Sometimes I even enjoyed them, but getting into shootouts during free roam is just not fun. Enemies can now call in for backup.
Dispatch requesting backup.
backup. If you disrupt this though, the backup won't come. Sounds fine until you realise if you get a bit too reckless, you can accidentally end your killing spree prematurely when you've wiped everyone out. I should not have to wait around for some arsehole to get off the phone before I can continue my murder spree in a game that bears the name Saints Row. Or look at this, I've got 3 stars, I'm causing chaos in the streets, no one's coming, and my notoriety's gone. But what really makes my cack hang is once you kill the boss that spawns when you hit max notoriety, all your notoriety will be wiped. Why? Did the game think I was getting a bit out of hand? It's also impossible to get max notoriety with both police and gangs. Look at this shit. Look at the game fighting back. I should have 3 stars right now. Why is it going down? There's also a few weird oddities with the combat system as a whole. Like, it's incredibly lame that you can't pick up enemy weapons anymore. You can't change weapons in a car, and why isn't there a way to increase the maximum ammo capacity? I thought I'd be able to increase it by doing side activities, but all I got was crappy cosmetics. Oh crap, yeah, the side content. I give the side content a D. D for this shit whack, yo. Oh, fuck me. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, I'll leave for that. That's awful. Now, for real, though, it's all painfully average. Just because there's a shit ton of side content to do doesn't automatically make it good side content. The Wanted app is neat, which is essentially the Hitman activity from Saints Row 1 and 2. Previously, you'd be given a list of targets to kill out in the open world over the course of the game. It was completely non-linear. Fuck. Non-linear. I can't say that. It was completely non-linear, and you could complete it at your own pace, and it was kind of shit. I love the idea of Hitman, but in practice, it was hampered by the shitty spawning system. The revamped version, however, takes this concept and turns each kill into its own mission. It takes the fun out of hunting down the target, but each kill is still decently enjoyable in its own right. I also like the addition of discoveries. Dumpster diving, collecting drug packages and car parts, taking photos. Make no mistake, all of this is total busy work. You don't need to do any of this at all. You mostly just unlock customization items and cars, but I found it quite therapeutic going about town collecting things. They're similar to clusters in Saints Row 4, which I also found quite addicting to collect. I wish these were a little more interesting than just go to the thing objectives. Like, it would have been sick if every so often you dug through a dumpster and a homeless bum jumped out and you had to fight him or something. Just a nice bit of variety, you know? Something to spice your day up. You know, it would have been great to see tagging return. I loved tagging in the first 2 games. This game has a massive hard-on for street art and graffiti. All the complete screens have these beautifully painted murals. There's gazillions of unique pieces of art in the city. The first freaking thing you see when booting the game up is of some graffiti art. Why the f*** can't we tag anything in this game? For f***'s sake, Nina paints a big Saints-themed mural during the campaign. I want to do that. This was such a missed opportunity. There could have been a mission with Nina where she teaches you how to tag, and oh my god, could you imagine if you could have created your own tags? This would be mine. You know what else would have been great to return in this game? Actually enjoyable side activities. I'm sorry, but I just do not enjoy these activities at all. They do the absolute bare minimum they can to be counted as a side activity, but nothing else. And the rewards for completing them are a bit wank. Activities were handled infinitely better in Saints Row 1 and 2. Not only were they actually, you know, fun, they gave you an opportunity to do things you wouldn't normally do out in the open world. Be a bodyguard and murder people in gruesome ways. Be a police officer and murder people in gruesome ways. Be a pimp and listen to people having sex in gruesome ways.
That's it. That's it. Free the tiger!
Please don't be a fucking furry.
You also unlock genuinely useful rewards aside from cars and clothes for completing these gruesome tasks. I also noticed a distinct lack of races in this game. Why there aren't any races using this new driving system is beyond me, but you know what could have been cool? Go-kart racing. There are go-karts at this go-kart track. Why not put 2 and 2 together and make a go-karting activity? Tell you what, here's my best lap. See if you can try and beat it. And I want video proof! I was initially insulted that this was the only side content available, or so I thought. Once the Saints become, you unlock criminal ventures, which is where the real side content is, and it's not much better, I'm afraid. Why are you afraid? I was glad to see that insurance fraud made a return. I was wondering where the classic activities were, and it's actually pretty good. Cars spawn way more frequently than they did before. Controlling your ragdoll feels a bit iffy though. Mayhem though, I don't know, man. I was never the biggest fan of it before, but it kind of sucks here. You're limited on what weapons you can use. If you use the RPG, the screen shakes a whole bunch, and it'll finish while you still have a combo going. Ugh. How long is the stick up this game's ass, and how do I pull it out? So I found the insurance fraud and food truck venture to be a decent enough time, but the more ventures I unlocked, I quickly realized how samey and boring all these are. There's 14 in total, with 7 of them boiling down to drive from point A to point B, and if you're lucky, maybe even to point C. Taking the GTA 5 mission approach, I see. Speaking of GTA 5, remember the best mission in that game? You know, the mission where you drive a slow-ass tow truck and bring it back to the lab? Mater. Well, how would you like to do that 7 times? This tow truck venture sucks. It's just a slow, boring drive across the city with no enemies to avoid or anything. and I thought this was the worst it could get, but then I unlocked Let's Pretend, and this one just outright pissed me off, because in concept it sounds fun as f***. Let's Pretend, the fancy dress shop, is actually a front for a gang to perform heists. Great! Sounds awesome, but then you play it and the disappointment sets in as you realise, oh, you don't actually get to take part in these heists. You're just the getaway driver. Why the fuck am I the getaway driver? Isn't that literally Nina's role in the gang? Give her a buzz, or was she too busy standing around the church sniffing her own farts? Being the getaway driver wouldn't even be that bad if I could get away on my own accord, but no, you can't even do that. You have to follow a scripted path, otherwise you'll fail. Ugh, I love the idea of criminal ventures. Owning companies as fronts for criminal activity and placing them wherever you want in the city sounds so cool, but the gameplay itself is just white bread and warm tap water. It's enough to keep the game going, but where is the flavor? Damn, I've been mentioning food a lot. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go make some toast. They're not bad per se, just uninspired. Actually no, a few of them are quite shit. I thought the venture where you could stop enemies from calling backup would be useful. Problem is, I beat it, and it doesn't fucking work. Alright, I've held out long enough. This game was in a fucked up state on launch, but reminder, I'm playing the latest and most likely the last version of this game to be released, and it's still a complete train wreck. Not only are the NPCs completely brain dead,
Only idols allowed here. Get gone!
I've encountered music bugs,
You might work.
a bug where the shopkeeper was aggro to me for no reason, so I couldn't use the store. Graphical glitches, oh god, the graphical glitches. Invisible walls. Why doesn't the game have a proper icon? And why does it look like this when I alt-tab? Why is the weapon wheel inverted while using a controller? Seriously, what the fuck? Why is enabling HDR brake borderless windowed? A driverless car that after landing on it with the wingsuit took me to my destination? I'm fairly sure it's impossible for your friends to die, but the one and only time I had to revive Eli, this happened.
Eli, I'm coming!
For fuck's sake, there was a bug that gave me all the DLC for free, even unreleased ones. I bought the base version for Steam for 16 quid and bam, all the DLC. A couple days later, they patched it out. Ha! Joke's on them though, out of spite, I kept my devil horns and feet this whole playthrough. I won't let you forget your mistake, Volition. Without a doubt, it's in a better state than it was a year ago, and despite frame drops from my PC being made out of hopes and prayers, I didn't experience any performance issues or crashes, but this is still inexcusable. So, in conclusion, is Saints Row as bad as everybody says it is? No. But also, yes. Yes, the story sucks. Yes, the characters are dog shit. Yes, the campaign is absolutely the worst part of this game, but the missions aren't the most offensive thing I've ever played. I've played missions in GTA that are far worse than the worst of this bunch, and some missions I genuinely had a pretty good time with. Saints Row has certainly improved since its terrible launch. The combat overhaul seems to have helped the flow of things, and even though they still run rampant throughout the game, a lot of the more game-breaking bugs have been squashed and content has been added. 2 completely new districts are a nice addition to the city of Santo Ileso, and even though it can be rather dead at times, it's still a beautiful city to explore and drive around in. There's plenty of side content to do, and while I like the concept for a lot of it, it's the most basic shit imaginable, and there's a severe lack of anything that's actually interesting. I'm certainly not clamoring to replay any of the activities or criminal ventures. There's a lot of small things that add up to really bring down the experience for me. Being blocked from accessing shops or your garage while in combat is annoying as fuck. The map sucks because your phone takes up half the bloody screen so you can't get a good view of anything. You can't change the default radio station of your car. Seriously, I was sick to death of hearing the synth pop station. You can't skip dialogue and get locked into this small space like the NPC is scared you'll run off on them and attempt to have a bit of fun. Ugh, every time I try and have fun, this game just fights back. It's just upsetting to see a series that used to be so irreverent and experimental play it so safe. There's no grit in this row. Everything's squeaky clean. I mean, come on. FBs? Jim Robs? Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Freckle bitches and rim jobs for life, son. So, did this game have to be bad? Well, no, it didn't. Because it's not bad. It's just excruciatingly average. And like I've said, there are things here that I genuinely like. but it could have been so much more, and I expect more for a modern AAA title. I put 50 bloody hours into this game, which is 49 too many, and honestly, I can't point to one standout thing that made that time worth it. And I'm sorry if it seems like I've been comparing this game to its predecessors too much, but if this game dares to bear the Saints Row name, it's gonna get compared to other games that also happen to contain the words Saints and or Row in the title. In my opinion, Saint Seiya Soldier's Soul had the better fighting mechanics. My biggest problem with this game is its fucking name. This is not a Saints Row game. It's an incredibly mid open world crime game that wears purple. It doesn't even do that right, for fuck's sake. Anything this game does is done better in Saints Row 2 or 3, and whatever unique things it brings to the table aren't that spectacular either. As a reboot, I can appreciate the things it does differently, and sometimes it's done well, like with the wingsuit, but this really shouldn't have been labelled as a Saints Row game.
Hey guys, it's me, Paddy. Approximately 9 months in the future. I'm sitting now because I've been standing for approximately 9 months. I was originally going to end this video by speculating where the Saints Row series could go from here, but what's the point? You all know what happened. Volition is dead. The Saints Row series is possibly dead. The Saints Row 2 PC patch? Most likely dead. A lot of people lost their jobs and the whole situation sucks. So really, there's not much point in speculating where the series can go from here because who knows if there's gonna be a series. All I can do is talk about the game that was given to me, the incredibly average game that is Saints Row 2022. Now, back to the video.
Damn, this ended on a pretty miserable note, huh? Well, goodbye.
Like my